Hello people, this is going to be a small video about how to fill an underwater rugby ball, which is now completely empty. We're going to fill it up with salt water so that it will sink in the pool. Now to do so we need some stuff. We have here a container, a pressurized container with the salt water in it. I pumped it up so it has quite a good overpressure inside the container. We have a ball needle here. It's a standard ball needle connected to a hose and a valve, and as you can see there is salt water coming out. This salt water has been saturated. That means the water is to its limit of what it can take up of salt. So there's actually some salts left in the bottom of this water. Now in addition, I have one tube of silicone. I have a star-shaped screwdriver, and I also have some small screws. I'll come back to why I may or not need those screws. And of course we have the template, because this is going to be a female ball and the criteria for the ball is to be between 490 millimeter and 510 millimeter circumferential. That means if we go in the middle, 500 millimeter circumferential, that's (160 millimeter) diameter. So when this ball is filled with salt water, it should go just clear of this hole. Right then, let's go to it. One very important object, tool, that is for this filling is this little 2.5 millimeter diameter hollow steel pipe. It has a slight angle at the top of it, and I'm going to use this pipe to evacuate the air from inside the ball. I'm going to go through the valve to the opposite side, where I'm going to gather all the air before I evacuate it. So I'm going to start now with getting most of the air out of the ball before I even start pumping any salt water into it. I'm going to pause the tape here a little bit. Now to empty the ball for air, I'm just going to borrow the filling hose, and I'm going to dip it in some green soap just as a lubricant and a friction reducer. Then I'm going to insert the needle. Try to do this with one hand here. Here we go, all the way into the ball. I'm going to squeeze the air out of it. I'm going to pause the tape here now so I can use both hands. As you can see, the ball is all squeezed. The valve is pointing up, and that's quite important as well, because internally the valve has a hose sticking down a little bit, so it's important not to have that in a bend configuration. I put the hose back on to the filling device. So now I'm going to insert the needle again. I've evacuated all the air, of course, out of the hose, so it's now filled with water again. As you can see, it's with pressure. So I'm just going to pause the tape again to insert the needle and then start filling. Now the needle is inserted in the ball, and we can commence filling of the ball. This is quite a slow process because of the flow through the needle is quite limited. The container has a maximum capacity of 7 liters, which is more than sufficient for the ball. And of course, should this not be enough, I have a new settlement ready on the floor, as you can see, as well as a lot of salt there down in the bottom, so this water is also saturated. I'm going to pause the tape here now and come back on when the ball is filled. Now the ball is filled, and I'm putting the template over, and as you can see, the ball is too big to go through the hole, and that's exactly how we want it for now. Problem now is the ball is like, it's rock hard, and you can hear it's quite some air inside the ball, and we need to get this air out of the ball. So that is where this 2.5 millimeter steel pipe comes into play. So I'm going to pause the tape here and place the camera so I can use both hands. Now we're going to use the rod here to insert through the valve of the ball and the tube, and make sure that we get to the air on the opposite side. So again, some lubricant, green soap on the ball, on the pipe. This pipe is actually bought from eBay. They're quite cheap, comes from China. Now when I insert the pipe into the valve, it will immediately start to squeeze water out through the pipe, so make sure you're either on the outside or you actually have a finger on the top so it doesn't spill too much around on the inside. So this is the pipe now, all the way through the ball. And you should instantly see, if I let go of the thumb now, that water comes out. Yeah, there we go. So the trick now is to make sure that I have the pipe. What I'm looking for is the small dent that the pipe makes on the opposite side. I can actually feel the pipe on the other side of the ball, and there's air coming out. So what I'll do, I'm pushing the pipe towards the roof, if you can call it, and I'm seeing that I get a small dent, so I know that's the highest point. I'm making sure that all the air gets out. Yep, there we are. There we go. There's absolutely no air in the ball. It's completely filled with water and not a single bubble of air left. So what we have to do now is make sure it has the correct size. And that's the template again. Still a little bit too big. Let's see. Lubricant. Insert. And I'm just going to let let the water pour out a little bit. Stop. And now the ball passes the template very nicely, and we are done. So what we have to do now obviously is to sand the ball to make it nice and good for passing on the water. But that's a different story. I'm going to stop here. Now what's important now is to really check the valve for any leakages. I can tell that I have a small leakage from the valve. Sometimes they stop, sometimes they don't. I don't know if you ever noticed that in some balls there are a screw inserted. Now I'm going to dry off this ball some better with some paper, but in case this leakage doesn't stop by itself, I'm going to add silicone in the valve, and then I'm going to put this screw here in the valve as well. And we're going to insert the screw so it gets underneath the plastic here together with the silicone, and then silicone over the top again. That completely seals it off, but that's a bit too early. I'm going to pause the tape now and clean the ball up a little bit better and then make it completely dry. Now the ball has been dried for a while, and I have been paying very close attention to the valve here, and it's completely sealed off now, so no need for silicone. Adding no silicone into it gives you the advantage that you could actually refill the ball or take out more water from the ball. But again, it will give you a small hole in it, which may or may not influence on the behavior on the water. So you have to choose for yourself whether you want to have silicone, just sort of to make the surface even in the hole as well before you sand it in. So that's all for me. Hope this was helpful, and thank you.